Hey adventurers, so today is going to be the next block of my top 100 books of all time, which is number 40 through 31. So yeah, let's get into these. We've got, at number 40, I decided to put Rackety Tam by Brian Jakes. This is, at the time of filming this, I still haven't finished my most recent reread. I'm about a third of the way into it, but I love this book. I love the Highlander characters, the in-world Highlander characters. I love that he's a squirrel. I love the story that we're getting to follow in this book. I love that we get a new type of character. We get to follow Wolverine, or face it Wolverine at least. We've never seen Wolverines in Redwall before or after this, as far as I know. Just so much about the story that I really enjoy. Basically Rackety Tam is the character of Rackety Tam is one of my favorite characters in the Redwall series, and so I love his story, and I do love the story that's being told here as well, with the Walking Stone and the Wolverine, Gulo the Savage. Him as a villain, I think, is just a fantastic villain. A lot of what is going on in this story I just really enjoy, and it's Redwall. Always going to be happy to have Redwall books on this list. Number 39 is Sons of the Oak by David Farland. This is my favorite book in the Runelord series by David Farland, and I love this book. I loved a lot about it. For one, it reminded me of Wingfeather Saga, and I really enjoyed Wingfeather Saga, and so I really enjoyed seeing this book, the way that this book was done. But along with that, I also, just the story that we were being told, the world that had been set up in books 1 through 4, this is book 5 of Runelords, I should probably mention that. The story that had been set up in the world that had been set up in books 1 through 4, and then knowing that we are now moving into another arc of this series that's very different from what we had previously, but still has some similarities, still has some things that are continuing, some through lines that are continuing into that book. This serves as a bridge book, and because of that, it actually almost serves as a standalone. Not really, because I wouldn't recommend reading book 5 without reading books 1 through 4 before it, but I think that it's the best of the 5 so far that you've gotten to, and having read 6 through 8 as well, I think that it's the best of those ones as well. So it's just my favorite book in the series, in the Runelord series, a series that I greatly enjoyed from start to finish. But yeah, really cool book. So there's that. Number 38, The Princess Bride. Of course, The Princess Bride has to be on here. Favorite movie of all time. Well, favorite live action movie, maybe. I don't know. Best live action movie ever made. That's fine. I can be happy with that. Whether it's my favorite or not, I don't know, but it is the best. Princess Bride. The book, fantastic. Just as funny as the movie. Not as good as the movie. Very, very good still. The movie, the reason why the movie works so well is because it's so short and it's so fast-paced that it basically compresses such a massive story into, I think it's hour-and-a-half movie, something like that. I don't have the exact runtime. But the book, just as good. Maybe not just as good, but it's very good as well. Very funny, very witty, very humorous, but still tells a fantastic story, and just a really engaging, really interesting story. It makes you, the framing device used totally makes you believe that there's more to this story than is just in The Princess Bride, and it's done fantastically. I read Princess Bride before I started the channel, so I don't have a review for it. Maybe if I ever reread the book, I will do a review for it at that point, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Anyways, let's move on to number 37, which is Tahanu. This is, I believe, the 4th book in the Earthsea cycle by Ursula K. Le Guin, and this is a different type of story than the other ones, and it's the first one that really takes a step back and is less action and more contemplative, and I enjoy that. I enjoy that as Le Guin continued through the series, she didn't remove the action and adventure from it. She just let that kind of take a back seat while she was exploring some themes, some ideas through the story, through the characters, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the contemplative nature of these books. So yeah, Tahanu. In the previous video in the previous batch of these numbers 50 through 41, I talked about Tombs of Adawan. So I point back to that. You'll get more thoughts on my thoughts on this series as a whole if you go watch my review of that. Also have reviews for these, so definitely if you want more thoughts on Tahano, go check out my review for Tahano. Number 36, The Green Pearl. Again, in the last batch in 50 through 41, I talked about the first book in this series, which is Children's Garden. The series is Leoness Trilogy by Jack Vance. So The Green Pearl, so many vivid memories, moments in my mind of this book, of this story that's being told here. I particularly love the series. I love so much what it was doing. There's some weird stuff in it, some unfortunate adult content for sure, but it doesn't take over the story by any means, and it actually is there so that the story can progress in some ways. I'm not condoning it, I'm not promoting it or anything like that, but it didn't make me hate the books. It was done in such a way that I could move past it and enjoy the story for what it was. But the Green Pearl, the story behind the Green Pearl, what is the Green Pearl, and all that kind of stuff, it activates my imagination essentially, and maybe is influencing a little bit of one of my story ideas. Maybe. I'm not going to say more about that because I can't at the moment, because I don't really have more to say, but it has engaged my imagination for sure. Number 35 is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson, so book 2 of the Stormlight Archive. This is a series that I enjoy the series quite a bit. It is not my favorite series of all time, and it is not, I don't think it's a perfect series. I think it has a lot of issues. Books 1 and 2, I don't think have that many issues, but Words of Radiance is my second favorite of the series. Oathbringer and Rhythm of War I have some issues with. I don't think that they are the best books in the series by any means, either of them. And Words of Radiance, of course, White Spine Uncaged, that chapter, everybody knows, everybody who's read this series knows that chapter, knows what happens in that chapter, and I agree, brilliant scene. Best moment of this series. But the story itself is also really good. The book as a whole is really good. I enjoyed the experience of reading this book. I basically don't have bad things to say about Words of Radiance. Number 34, I have the Collation Saga as a whole, which is Deathless Beast, Bone Shroud, and Gloves of Aeons is book 3. I only physically own book 1 at the moment, which is Deathless Beast, but the other 2 books in the series, as well as I haven't read all the short stories or novellas that he has written, but one of them, he meaning Andrew D. Meredith, or Andrew D. Meredith up at the top, not at the bottom, has a short story in the Advent of Winter anthology, and I have read that one and I enjoy that one as well. But I'm talking about the main series here, the Collation Saga volumes 1, 2, and 3. I haven't read volume 4 because volume 4 isn't out yet. But volumes 1 through 3, Deathless Beast, Bone Shroud, and the Gloves of Aeons, those books, fantastic, love them. Of the 3, I think my ranking, and I'd have to reread all 3 of them to really know, but I think my ranking is Bone Shroud, Deathless Beast, Gloves of Aeons, but they're all neck and neck. They're all really close to each other. I just enjoy the series. Basically, Andrew D. Meredith, this series is written for me. It's the type of series that fits my tastes perfectly. And because of that, love the series. One of my favorite series of all time at the moment. Yeah, very, very good series. I wish that I had owned the other 2 books physically, but I don't. And they are all here as a group because they're all just neck and neck, and if I didn't have them here, it would be 1, 2, and 3, and they'd just be taking up 3 spots right next to each other, so I might as well just condense them and allow me to put more books on this list. Anyways, moving on. Number 33 is Tagarong. This is another book in the Redwall series. This is one that I have long considered to be top 3 Redwall. I don't think I've long considered it to be my favorite, and it isn't my favorite, but it's top 3, or it has been top 3 in the past at least, and I love this book. I love that we're following basically an Annie here. We're following a otter who is generally a good guy character, but in this was raised by the vermin, was raised as a villain, and the juxtaposition between basically nature versus nurture in this story, the fight between the Redwallers and the vermin, and how they're then having to deal with this response. Also the fact that he's basically an assassin type character, which automatically I like that type of character. So much about this character and about this story I really enjoy, and so Tagarong for sure deserves to be up high like it is. Number 32, and this is really cool that I have it this high, but also it's kind of sad that it's only this that it's only at number 32, but whatever, that's fine. Dawn of Wonder by Jonathan Renshaw. I've talked extensively about this book. I don't need to talk about it more, but one of the things, I'll do this. One of the things that makes me love this book is obviously the story, the characters, the setting that we're following is perfectly fits my storytelling sensibilities, but it's the atmosphere, that the writing that we're telling, the visualization that I have of this book. I can clearly see every scene in this book. Maybe even clearer than some scenes in Lord of the Rings. And that's impressive. I've read this book twice is all. Once physically, once audio. And this book just captures my imagination in a way that very, very few other books can or have. I see the scenes. There's scenes where weather events are happening, and I can just visualize every single thing that is happening in that sequence. And it's so cool. The setting that we go to, the expansiveness, the meanderingness of this story, I just loved it. So anyways, if you want to know more of my thoughts, I have a review of this. I also have a why you should read. So go watch those videos because they're better than my thoughts here. More clear, less concise because I talk about more things and it's longer, but more clear and better versions of this video or of this thought. So yeah, go watch those. And then at number 31, I have The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. So book 1 of the Stormlight Archive. Why is this one higher than Words of Radiance when I said I basically have nothing bad to say about Words of Radiance? Basically, it comes down to experience of reading it. I loved the experience of reading this book and the first taste of this world, the getting immersed in this world, the following Kaladin's character, following that storyline, meeting Shallan and Dalinar for the first time, meeting this world, seeing this new world unfolding before me, learning the rules of this world, just getting a taste of this magic, this prologue in chapter 1 of this 10-book epic fantasy series. It's so good. This is the book that the experience of reading this book is what makes me love this book more than the story, more than the characters, more than all that other stuff. As important as it is, it was the experience of reading this book that makes it higher than Words of Radiance for me. So yeah, Words of Radiance is my favorite of the Stormlight books. Maybe that'll change upon reread it as the time of filming this. I am currently listening to Words of Radiance again, so maybe as of the time of reading it, I'm currently listening to Way of Kings again, and so as I go through, perhaps my opinion will change on which books are my favorite or whatever, but I don't think they will, because I'm basically having the same experience listening to this book again as I did the first time going through it. Only now I can pick up on things that I didn't know the first time through, and so having that same experience plus picking up on all the foreshadowing, fantastic. Anyways, that is my numbers 40 through 31 of this top 100 books of all time list. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite adventure. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.